Well, good morning, folks. Welcome to Tim Ailer Weather. Come in, grab your coffee. I know we got mine. Take a look at the week together. All right. I'm glad you're here, and I've got a good one for you today. Because the southeast is staying unsettled, daily storms, and it's not the same story every day. It feels like it's rained every day in your location in the southeast. You're not imagining it. Um, let's walk through it, right? We got very unsettled weather up in the Northeast and the Mid Atlantic and parts of the upper Midwest and Northern High Plains, which we'll go through, as well as talk about what days matter most and the impacts in the Southeast and the impacts in those areas as well. Sounds good. Let's get to it. So, what do we got going on in the Southeast? Well, we're kind of on no man's land here where we have some maybe disturbed weather that moves through every day to start with today. And we're under this influence of high pressure to the south and a general zonal flow throughout the continental U.S., which will lead to showers and storms each day in the southeast, right? Today looks like to have more coverage in general, and a chance of heavy rainfall. We'll go over that as well. Out west, of course, we have the high pressure here dominating the weather out there. And then as we get further on into the week, this trough in the eastern seaboard really digs here to the east, bringing unsettled weather and abnormally low temperatures to the northeast. High pressure builds to the west here, which will bring the end to severe weather chances and heavy rainfall, bring the chance for record high temperatures once again here. Okay. And this trough, as it digs even further, very anomalous trough here for this time of year. Review of the severe weather threat for today. There is a chance for severe weather with gusty winds as storms roll off the higher terrain of the Carolina mountains here into Georgia and North Carolina and parts of the higher terrain of Tennessee here up into Kentucky as well. And that's the severe threat for today. So you got to be mindful of that today. It's a marginal risk. And we have the excessive rainfall outlook as well, excessive rainfall. And for those who don't know, it means there's a marginal chance of excessive rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance criteria. And I think personally that the highest threat is probably up in the Atlanta metro to Chattanooga up into Nashville. And we're going to move on to the forecast for the Tennessee Valley next. And this is a Rufus model. So in the afternoon hours today, we got general showers and storms firing up here in the northeast to the east of Nashville and in the higher terrain up here to the west of Charlotte. Okay. And these storms will migrate to the south and east. Okay. So for the Nashville area, it doesn't look like there's going to be much going on. But to the east here in North Carolina, we could have some heavy rainfall, some gusty winds, especially here along our line from Charlotte to Greenville to Gainesville to Atlanta. Nashville, not looking like you're going to get much. So as we move through time with this into Monday, we have an MCS type feature that may surge from north to south here as we transition to a more northwest flow. And it could move through the Nashville area Monday afternoon and evening, providing some gusty winds and severe weather chances here as well. Although there's no severe weather outlook for this area for tomorrow. And that area kind of loses its punch as it moves to the south, as often happens this time of year when it loses the energy that is pushing it further to the south here. And we get into Tuesday, we have this another surge of severe weather moving to the south and east through the mid-Atlantic, moving through the mid-Atlantic and parts of the southeast as well into Tuesday as our area surges offshore. So multiple areas of severe weather potential with MCS type features that are notoriously hard to predict, even in the short term. So we're going to have to figure this out each day. Like I always say, you got to keep an eye on the local weather radar on a daily basis, especially when you got set up like this. You got set up like this with MCSs, different areas moving through that are hard to predict. As far as temperatures go in the Tennessee Valley, we're looking at pretty hot today, highs in the 90s, real feel temperatures, and cooling off overnight, of course, as we move into tomorrow. Going to be even hotter here. Nashville, 100, Chattanooga, 94. Of course, the higher terrain, look at the higher terrain cool off here. So if you live in Franklin and Nashville, it might be pretty nice up here. Might get some rainfall, things like that, clouds. And you see as the storms push to the south and east, that will cool off temperatures as well. And moving into Tuesday, looks to be one of your hottest days here with real feel temperatures over 100 for a good portion of the southeast, with the big city, of course, of Nashville, 102. Heat island effect really in full force here. And, well, high 103 heat index. So, going to be below heat advisory criteria, but it's going to be hot nonetheless. So if you do have to work outside here this week, I would advise drinking lots of water, taking a lot of breaks, things like that. All right, not unusual for this time of year for the southeast to be this hot. Kingsland, Brunswick, Savannah with higher moisture content right along the shoreline here, and Alabama, Mississippi, still in the hundreds here, but the real hot temperatures will be along the eastern seaboard here, just due to high moisture content. All right. So, for reference, this is the day 3 to 7 U.S. hazards outlook from the Weather Prediction Center. And, in my forecast, I talked about this hazardous heat along the southeast here. So, there is a chance for hazardous heat, which means temperatures could be meet heat advisory criteria here. So, as far as the Midwest and the Northeast and the Mid Atlantic here, severe weather will be possibly stay here. And this time of year, we have this typical northwest flow, which mostly brings damaging wind threat. And today is no exception. 50% chance of storms here in the upper Midwest, Chicago, Rockford, Davenport, Rochester, Fort Wayne, and a higher probability of severe wind gusts further to the west. Hail, not as high of a risk with hail, but although there's a marginal risk here as well. And there's a tornado risk today, although small, 2% chance of a tornado spinning up here. Probably, likely relatively weak, but you never know. All right, so moving into Monday, we have a severe threat, tornadoes once again possible here. 15% wind risk along that boundary. And I talked about the 500 millibar flow and where the boundary be setting up and a chance for severe repeated rounds of severe weather here with more of a hail risk further to the west. And as we get into Tuesday, we still have this severe threat, although it pushes a little further to the south here, even into Wednesday. The Storm Prediction Center has a 15% risk of severe weather outlined once again here in the, and, as part of this threat, we have this flood risk as well, right? Even into Wednesday, we continue to push further south and east here. This could wake you up out of your sleep here. As far as temperatures go for the Midwest and the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, man, I wish I lived up here right now. I used to live in New Jersey, but I moved out when I was 18. And, man, to start off with, it's going to be, kind of warm here along the eastern seaboard, right? Sunday today, probably one of the hotter days. But up in the Midwest, only 80 degrees, so that's not too bad. Although, we've had a lot hotter this year. We get into Monday, look at the highs cooling off as that trough digs, 70s and 80s for highs. Even up here into northern Maine, could only be in the 60s up here, 50s. This is overnight, so still only 70s here. Even the Mid-Atlantic, 70 degrees. Washington, D.C., a little bit hotter. Up in the Midwest, 70s and 80s. Chicago, 70. And look what happens here. We get into Thursday, 70s, widespread 70s and 80s. So overall very pleasant here. Now, if we switch to dew points so we can look at how it's going to feel. You see where the moisture and the boundary is here. So anywhere to the north of where you see 60s and 70s is going to be nice and feel pretty nice here. And you see that push 50-degree dew points push even further to the south. I think that gives you a really good idea of the boundary here. Even into Saturday, it pushes even further to the south, dew points in the 50s here. So dry, mid-levels. But you see out west here, hotter temperatures and higher dew points are pushing in out west. And these lower dew points slowly creep up to the north here, which could lead to warmer temperatures once again. But still, overall, pretty pleasant here. Pretty pleasant. I take this any day here. These temperatures in the 70s, air temperatures, beautiful, beautiful conditions here. In the Central Plains, Phoenix, 110, pretty hot, but not unusual this time of year, I don't think. And cooling off with them storms. You see the higher terrain, of course, cooler. See Bismarck, 58 degrees. That feels great, I think, right? Warming up, you see a higher push of higher temperatures in the higher terrain. You see the moisture here. Man, going to be hot in the Central Plains and down in the south and the Texas, going to be in the hundreds, near 110. All right, so this is Monday into Tuesday. We get that push of hot temperatures. Kansas City 100, St. Louis 103, Dallas. Heat index values pretty hot down here, pretty brutal. Heat advisories are likely going to be issued for these areas. All right, into the weekend, into the middle of the week. Man, live up here, North Dakota, even the South Dakota here, 60s for lows in the morning. Brutal, but not overly brutal here, I guess you could say, in the deep south, parts of Texas to the southwest. Man, look at the temperatures in Denver over Friday. Whew, gonna be nice in the 60s, man. Wow. All the stalkers out here. It's gonna be a nice day. 60s and 70s. For a good portion of the nation here, with the exception of the deep south and southeast. Everywhere else, wow, look at the temperatures. Just this is the first look for a preview of fall, I think, here, guys, with this trough digging in. So I'm excited about this. I don't know about you, but we're gonna have more pushes of hot weather, but this is a good look for the future, isn't it? I mean, I look forward to this, and eventually this will move into the southeast as we get further into September and October. These pushes of cooler air will make it further south, and eventually it won't be as hot. So we don't have that much longer to go till we get to that here in the deep south and southeast. So we can bide our time and deal with what we're used to, and then we'll cool off eventually, and maybe we'll get some snow this winter. Let's see. But appreciate y'all watching. God bless y'all. I hope this was useful, and like, subscribe, share with your friends. I appreciate that. Have a great day. God bless y'all.